Why? What's up, YouTube? This is your boy John from Project Ellsworth, and I am back with you today to give you my review of John Carpenter's 1980 classic, The Fog. I think we need to talk. So The Fog begins with John Houseman sitting around a campfire telling a bunch of kids a ghost story about the town of Antonio Bay. And just as John Houseman is scaring these kids to death on the beach with this ghost story, simultaneously, Father Malone, portrayed by Hal Holbrook, is back at his church where he discovers his grandfather's diary hidden in the church in a really strange spot, which outlines that 100 years to the day prior to this, or that following day would have been 100 years ago, that his grandfather and a total of 5 other people conspired to sink a boat, a clipper ship called the Elizabeth Dane, that was owned by some rich dude named Blake. They wanted to sink that ship to steal his gold, to build up Antonio Bay, and to build this church. I think I got that out right. Great foundation for this town, established by good people. So now it's time to celebrate. It's the 100-year anniversary of Antonio Bay, and the town's getting ready to have this big celebration, and all of a sudden, a mysterious fog starts to come in and blanket the town. Fog glows. It's really friggin' creepy. Now, take one guess at what's inside of that fog. Spoiler alert. Yes. Blake and his crew are inside of that fog. They're back and they're looking for revenge. So cliche and dramatic. 6 people conspired to take down the Elizabeth Dane, and they're back to claim 6 lives as a little bit of payback. I know it's a short review, but I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it. You get your own damn channel. I mean, what can I say about The Fog? I don't think that this movie is a blockbuster or like a groundbreaking movie by any means. But look, man, this is just your standard, typical, awesome, badass John Carpenter film from the early 80s. This movie's fantastic. Prior to the other night, I hadn't watched this movie in a while, and I turned it on and watched it with my son, and I forgot how quickly you just know. I mean, obviously I knew that this was a John Carpenter film, but I think that if you're familiar at all with John Carpenter's work, you can almost immediately tell that this is a John Carpenter movie. Well, John Carpenter's in it at the very, very beginning of the movie, but take that and put it aside. It looks like a John Carpenter movie. It sounds like a John Carpenter movie. You just immediately get that feeling of that John Carpenter film that we all know so well. One of the things that I typically discuss in my reviews are how much I do or do not like the practical or CGI effects in a movie. This movie, really, there's no effects to speak of. Glowing eyes, fog. Outside of that, there's breaking windows. There's really no effects to speak of. Lights, fog, and some broken glass, and that's about it. The upside of that is you really don't need it. You don't miss it, because the story's so good. Just the tale, the very simple tale of people conspiring to sink a ship, more or less to lure a ship in so that it sinks itself, to steal the gold, to build up a town, to build a church. That's some nasty stuff. But then to have the 100-year celebration spoiled by the returning crew hiding in the fog, which is how they got the boat to sink in the first place. It was lured into the fog, and it struck ground, and the boat sank, and the crew died. So now they're back, and they're using that fog as sort of camouflage, as a blanket, to get closer. And like I said earlier, they're looking to kill 6 people, because it was a total of 6 people that conspired to get this boat sank to get that gold in the first place. I mean, there's really not a lot to say. It's freaking awesome. One name that I have not mentioned is Adrienne Barbeau. She more or less is the star of this movie. She's a DJ, and she DJs out of a lighthouse that is down where lighthouses are near the water, and she sees the fog rolling in. She sees it a couple different times. She's got a kid at home. There's consequences of the fog. She's able to reach people through the airwaves. It's just a whole thing. And Adrienne Barbeau is Adrienne Barbeau in 1980. She looks fantastic. She acts fantastic. This movie is honestly like a John Carpenter all-star team. The cast in this movie is next level. Arguably, I think this might be the best cast of any John Carpenter movie ever. You got Adrienne Barbeau. You got Tom Atkins, Jamie Lee Curtis, Jeanette Lee, Hal Holbrook, who else? Nancy Loomis, John Houseman, Charles Cyphers, Darwin Johnson, and John Carpenter and Deborah Hill are even in this thing. As far as I'm concerned, a John Carpenter movie cast doesn't get any better than that. Well, maybe if they cast Kurt Russell and Roddy Piper. Old ass Donald Pleasance as Blake. Come to think of it, Kurt Russell looks like Blake. That would have been awesome. And atmosphere. All the atmosphere you could need in a John Carpenter movie. Well, it's a John Carpenter movie, so you know he did the score. And being as though he did the score, you know it's fantastic. And add on to that a bunch of fog and a lighthouse, and you have a particularly fantastic John Carpenter atmosphere. So when you combine a really, really good story from John Carpenter and Deborah Hill with the really kick-ass score from John Carpenter, with the amazing atmosphere that score and the setting and the fog and the lighthouse, what all that creates, with the all-star, amazing John Carpenter cast from the John Carpenter universe, and you have exactly what the fog is, an absolutely legendary John Carpenter masterpiece. This movie is beloved by fans of John Carpenter, and for very good reason. The Fog is great. I'm going to get out of here. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you've been enjoying my content up to this point, please do me a huge personal favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that bell. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. And thank you for watching. Later, folks. Get this off.